Hi everyone, welcome to this new episode of Global Entrepreneur. Today I'm going to be walking you through our customer slide deck. So this is what we showed one of the major airlines in the US. So this is how we structured our business case. And as you're going to see, this is more of an informative pitch rather than being an investor's pitch. So there's different tools out there that you can use. So for example, if you go on Google, you can find how to do an investor's pitch. I think, sorry, so I think it's called the pitch canvas, right? Yeah, there we go. So this is a great tool for you to use whenever you're talking to an investor or if you're in a competition. This is a simple way of showcasing your idea, so you can just follow. This is kind of like a different canvas that you can use. So here you have a simple statement of what your product is and what it does. Here you talk about the pains and gains, then you talk about your product, then your product demo, then what's unique, then your customer traction, then your business model, then whatever investment section you have, then your team, and then a clear call to action as well as why you are the best team to execute on the idea. So given that, I'll show you guys our presentation. Like I so last in my last video I showed the process of building a minimum viable product, but this time you're gonna see why we did it this way and how we created this product to satisfy a specific need. So let me show you guys this PowerPoint. By the way, this trimming format of showing you what we've done before, I actually really like it. I love this format of being able to show you how we've done things before. Hopefully I'm gonna get better at it. Okay, so let's just get started. So here we have our introductory slide. So just the logo and what our product is. So a smart galley cart. I think this is very clean and very attractive. It focuses on the logo itself. So then basically here we showed one of the major airlines, in this case it was United, that we had been to their catering facilities. We thanked them for giving us that opportunity to see how their processes worked and be able to see how the carts on planes are loaded and how they're cleaned and distributed. So what we said was that after doing thorough research, and we had talked to United for like 4 different times, and we talked to other airlines as well, we realized that there was a huge opportunity to develop a new product catered to the airline's needs, right? And so what we mentioned was that we found 3 pain points. First, the wait. So after talking to the catering managers at United, they mentioned that they had been flight attendants for over 10 years in the past. And they said that the carts are very heavy, so they're very hard to maneuver in the aisles of the plane. And also, they recognize that the weight has a significant impact in fuel costs. So they were always looking for lighter solutions. Second is the durability. So the current manufacturer of the carts tried replacing the metal frame for plastics, but the carts would just break all the time. And so it was not feasible to switch materials, and the carts would just break all the time. And also, the old carts keep on breaking. The brakes are very outdated, and the handles and everything, just doesn't work very well. So these carts need maintenance every 2 months or so. And that leads to the third problem, which is shipping, right? So the third problem is that the manufacturer is currently located in Thailand. So whenever an airline in the U.S. or North America wants to get these carts, they need to wait 4 to 5 months before they can get the carts shipped to them. This is because there are huge backlogs of orders, and also the long distance of of the manufacturer compared to the customer creates a problem, because every time that the airline needs to purchase one of these carts, they need to overspend millions in air shipping to get the carts urgently when they need the equipment, right? So let's say that they can't wait 4 to 5 months because they need to replace carts. They have to pay for air shipping, um, and so this is very inconvenient. So as you can see, we clearly structure the problem in 3 different steps. We broke it down. So just to summarize, it's the weight of the carts; they're heavy, the durability because they break all the time, and the shipping because the manufacturer is far away from the customer. The other thing is that the airline we were talking to is the only airline in the world that uses custom dimensions for their carts. And so, considering the problem and the specifications, we had to delve deep into the problem and look into how these carts worked. As you can see, they're very outdated. Basically, these carts have, let me show you, hot contents and beverages that can fall off in case of turbulence. The design just looks really, really bad, right? There's sharp edges here. It doesn't look very aesthetic or pleasing in the aisle, just ugly as hell. The handles are rusty. It pretty much looks like a trash can on wheels. It's really, really bad. And so, looking into that, we created FlykeART, right? So this is a revolutionary product that we call a smart galley cart. And this cart reduces fuel costs, reduces CO2 emissions, and also creates a much better in-flight experience. So the main reason why it reduces fuel costs and CO2 emissions is because it is 5 times lighter than any cart out there, right? It's made out of carbon fiber composites, so super light and super resistant. And this means that it only weighs 13 pounds. It's super, super light. So we also mentioned that, the fact is that long haul planes have up to 80 carts per plane. So as you can see, they're all stacked one against each other. This is like a view of the galley. These are all the carts. And people couldn't believe that there's so many carts inside a plane. But yeah, I mean, there's 40 to 80 carts per plane on average, and not just 16 like we thought there were. And this we validated by getting inside the plane and looking to and talking to our customers. So then, if there's so many carts and our carts are so much lighter, what's the impact on the fuel saving? So what we said was, let's take that there's 60 carts on average per long haul plane, right? So if we take the weight difference of 60 pounds average, some carts are heavier, some are lighter, but 60 pounds and ours is 13 pounds. That's about 47 pounds or 21.4 kilograms per cart, right? And then if we take into account the fuel burn rate provided by American Airlines, and we just calculate the costs per liter of fuel, this means we could save $800 per flight just because of the weight difference in the carts. Now, this doesn't look like too much, right? But now if you take $800 per flight and then you multiply how many flights are operated by United every day, which is 1,550 daily long-haul flights, or, this was pre-coronavirus, of course. And then we take into account all of the annual flights, we could save this airline $453 million every year just by changing the cart for a lighter material. This is a huge, huge, huge number. So we also talked about how we approach design for this product, right? So first of all, we kept standard dimensions so that we wouldn't have to modify anything inside the galley. We basically reconfigure the cart by just using this inner structure of the old carts with the racks, and then just changing everything from the outside, as you can see here. So we kind of created like an outer shell to the cart that adds a lot more lightweight and functionality. So first of all, our cart is a lot more aesthetic, right? So you can see soft edges everywhere. Just the color looks much better with the sexy carbon fiber. We changed the latches, we changed the trays, we changed the handles. We have a tablet mount, and just everything looks a lot more pleasing in 21st century. We also have a curved design. So as you can see here, this door is very cool because it has this curving. So basically, it can remain curved to the body, but when you open the door, it remains flat on the other side. We had an animation, but I think I deleted that. But so just to show this quick video, so you can see here, it opens up like that, right? So it has a latch, so that it's easier to grab the handle, because the old carts had the handle in the middle, so flight attendants would have to bend over, and it's just very inconvenient to open the carts like that. Now we just made it a lot more ergonomic. Yeah, and so the door, as you can see here, it's curved, right, to the body, like this. and then once it's opened up, right, it has this mechanisms that kind of like curve the door, and make this door remain flat on this side so that it doesn't occupy extra space in the aisle when the door is open. It has a magnetic latch here that holds the door open, right? Now the great advantage about this is that we were thinking of different mechanisms, but it was really hard to design this door because all surfaces need to remain open during the cleaning process, right? So this was something very, very specific we had to learn to create our design. Basically, the machines that clean these carts have a robotic arm that holds the door fixed. So if we created all the entire door to be curved, then it would just like fall apart. And so we created something that's kind of like flat in the middle but curves on the side so that the machine can hold the door to be able to clean the carts. So as you can see here, it's a very flexible design. It has temperature insulation, so whenever the carts are chilled through these chiller vents, right, so whenever they're cooled down, this completely insulates any leaks of air, so it keeps everything cold and in place. And these are also much better because they don't hold any dust, right, compared to those old metal vents that the carts had. We also created anti-slip surfaces. As you can see here, it's also, the textures are included in the design. So anti-slip, like rubber grips here in the handles, and also on this surface. The good thing is that it's not only like rubber, so that things are not going to slide off, but it's also magnetic, so you can hold kettles and everything, and they're going to be held in place even if there's turbulence. So that was a safety measure. We also have this door latch here, so that it's easy to lock the door and open it up whenever you need to. It's not in the middle, and this allows for faster response, so it's a safer thing. So we thought of every single detail, right? We have redesigned trays so they're easier to pull out. I think we were thinking about including a button so this would come out, but we finally didn't include. We didn't include that in the design, but that was one of the components. Basically, just the trays are redesigned, and now they have this rubber grip here. It's easier to grab, and this is also made out of carbon fiber, or like a soft plastic too. It could be. So in any case, it's a lot better than those old and heavy metal trays that the carts had. So then we have ergonomic handles, right? Easier to grab, and as you can see now, there's this thing which is the brake that says twist to stop. So what happens is the old brakes were located here at the bottom, so it used like a pedal mechanism that the flight attendants had to press down to stop the carts from moving, right? But this was really bad because basically every time they needed to brake the cart, they would have to kind of like lean forward and press on the pedal, and this would make this would like force the mechanism to brake all the time because it's just not very reliable, and it's also not as fast, right? If there's turbulence, it means that the flight attendants are going to be destabilized by the movement of the plane. In this case, we have the brakes here, the handle that you can just roll, and it's a cable that runs all the way down to the wheel, so that whenever you kind of like roll it around, it pulls on the brake, and it actions the brakes. So these brakes are also lighter because of the whole mechanism is just operated through a cable instead of heavy platforms here at the bottom. So we have lighter brakes with calipers that kind of look like a race car. You can also see the very soft edges of the card, right? Very curved, very light, very cool. This is also a weather strip so that temperature wouldn't leak. So we thought of every single detail. Here you can see kind of like a front view, right? It just looks a lot better, and we have this an enhanced vision. So we thought about linking the two tablets on the side so that one can be put in vision mode, and then the other one in kind of like surrounding mode or enhanced vision mode, so that you can just look into the whole cabin, so you're not going to hit passengers when you walk through the aisles, right? So if you're a flight attendant, you're not going to hit elbows or knees along the way, and this could just display a warning. So if there's a little kid that has his or her leg out here, you can just see and not hit that passenger, and just this creates a much smoother flight experience overall. and it's not stressful for flight attendants. So we also looked at the current manufacturers. So we have Safran, a company that currently develops the old carts that you see on planes. Then we have Nordrin, a company that creates lighter carts by using the exact same design and format, but by changing metals for plastics. But they weren't very successful just because their carts are marginally lighter. They break all the time. Then we have Gate Group, a recently new startup company that's working on this car design. Their tablets they have kind of like tablets on the top, but they also included like coffee machines and things that are very heavy, so it's not feasible for airlines to use these carts. So when we compare our product to other vendors, we can manufacture and deliver our carts in a week compared to 4 to 5 months. Our carts are actually 5 times lighter, not 4. Our cards are smart enabled. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more later. They're a lot more reliable because every component has been redesigned. And, we know that compared to when airlines buy by bulk, they get every card for about $700 or $680. Some other airlines get these cards for $1,000, which is expensive for what they are. But instead, we would sell our cards for $5,000 per card. Now, this looks way too much compared to other cards. But when you look at the numbers, that's not the case. Why? Because these other cards are so heavy that by cart, they create a lot of fuel costs, right? It's an externality of the card. Our cards would actually save the airline $51,000 per cart over the entire lifetime of the product. So if we take into account this $453 million that we would save the airline, and then we multiply that over a 10-year product lifetime, assuming that the carts will last for 10 years, and then we divide by the approximate number of carts that the airline has, we would save $56,000. And then if we just discount the price of the cart, every single cart would give the airline $51,000 in long-term value. And so this means that our carts would actually deliver 10 times the value for the price, or more than 10 times the value for the price per cart. So it has a huge impact, and this also means that we could tackle a huge market size because there's the whole market size is 180 billion, and if we take into account the carts and the optimization of the cans and everything, we can average $850 of fuel savings per flight. If we take into account all of the flights, then we could save about 15 billion to the entire airline industry every year, right? And then for a big airline like United, this could be up to 520 million annually. So these numbers are actually final numbers that were validated by the airline. So it's crazy, but yeah, I mean, just these little cards can have a huge impact on fuel and the environment. Now, the thing that distinguishes our cards from the competition and every other manufacturer who's trying to make these cards lighter is that we're also thinking about creating a digital catering ecosystem on board. So it's not just about the cards, but about the entire experience. So as you can see, our cards have digitalized catering, so that passengers can use their electronic devices to order their meals, and then flight attendants are gonna receive these orders in their touchscreens that are attached to the card, and they can process the meal orders to then go and serve passengers in the best way possible. So our software was inspired by looking at what other airlines like Lufthansa, Norwegian, and Singapore are doing, and they're using software to sell products on board. But our software is different because we use something called a data-driven cycle. So what we do is that we create an offer, we store that in a database, we analyze it, and we adjust our data to then create a new offer that's better for passengers. So this is a constant iteration loop. So our goal is to increase sales first, and how it's done is because we have, let's say that on average there are 33 purchases in flight, and then every passenger spends about $18 on average per purchase. And these are validated numbers that we took online. And then we take into account the number of flights operated annually by the airline. In this case, it's 0.6 million a year. This means that we have about 356 million a year that are made on revenue from in-flight sales, right? So this is just an example. We don't have the full validated case here, but this was just to show the airline that there was a huge potential to use software later on. And so we have three variables, right? The number of purchases per flight, the amount spent per purchase, and the number of flights per year. So we wanted to know which one of these three variables can we actually increase, and what's the impact on increasing that. So if we take a look into one of the cycles, if we run and we increase by 3%, these two things, both just a 3% increase in the number of purchases and the number of money spent per flight, then we could allow the airline to make 21 million in extra in-flight revenue. Now, if we run it again and it's 6%, then it's 43 million. If we run it again and it's 10%, it's 76 million. So as you can see, it has just a little increase in this variable. So it's a huge impact in the final number. Why? Well, also if you look at this, it's just 10%. It's only like 3 more purchases per flight. That's not that much, right? But there's just so many flights annually that the margins are just insane, right? Like the money is crazy. So we also thought, we could also further decrease weight. Why? Because we could track how many items are loaded before every flight and then after every flight, so we can calculate the remainder and try to reduce that. And so if you take into account that, this is kind of like an average remainder per flight, 588 cans are the equivalent of 67.3 million a year in fuel costs. So that could also be achieved. And then we also have an enhanced experience. So what we suggested was that there was a lot of chances to make ad revenue by using, ads on the app. There could also be duty-free purchases anytime during the flight. This is very important. There are some airlines that don't do duty-free sales, but basically what's inconvenient is that if you want to buy a duty-free item, there's just one time where flight attendants walk through offering products, right? But this is just not very convenient. But if you could have an app and use a catalog to then purchase the duty-free items on board, this would be great, right? Because you could basically just look at those duty-free things and purchase them anytime during flight, and then you could get it after your flight's over or anytime, so it's a lot more convenient. You could also capture impulse purchases, right? So if you're watching Netflix, the algorithm could realize that you've been watching Netflix on board for hours or streaming a movie or something, and it could suggest buying a drink or buying a snack or something, so it would take you to that marketplace, and basically that's another way in which you could severely increase revenue. So that's all of the presentation of the card. I hope you guys liked it. Again, I didn't really practice this pitch too much. I just wanted to show you sort of what we had shown airlines before and how we were structuring our business case. So next time, I'm going to show you kind of like the two things that branch off of this presentation. One is the entire business plan. So I'm going to walk you through how we created our business plan for a competition and how we placed among the top 10. That competition was canceled because of coronavirus, but we still placed among the top 10, and judges loved our business plan. So I'm going to walk you through how I wrote the entire business plan section by section and sort of what's the idea behind the business plan. And then I'm also going to show you the provisional patent that we have and how we patented every component of the card. We didn't do this ourselves. We got help from patent lawyers, but there's great resources out there for you to like do a patent search and then sort of like write the provisional patent application. And so you're going to save a lot of money because you can just have it checked by a lawyer and just save money from drafting the patent, and that's how you can get your patent for a lot cheaper. We didn't do this time because we got help from free, but next time if I had to invest money, I would put in the time to draft the patent myself, right? So we're going to look into what the patent covers and how it's written and sort of the whole format. And and so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And obviously, if you have any questions, don't hesitate in asking those questions in the comment section. I'm also available for you guys if you'd like to set up a video call. If you have any questions about your startup, I'm open to doing this. And more than anything, I really enjoy doing these videos. So, if you also like this content, just give me a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you in a later episode. Bye. Oh, let me get out of here. All right, see you guys.